Since 1995, Sony has been a dominant force in the console gaming market. They made a big impact when they debuted their first PlayStation on September 9th and continue to find great success when the PS2 hit stores at the start of the 21st century. While their success only continued to grow in the console market, there was one market they had yet to try their hand at, that being the handheld market. The handheld scene had been dominated by Nintendo since the Game Boy's first initial release in 1989, beating out all potential competition from Sega's Game Gear to SNK's Neo Geo Pocket Color over the course of a decade and a half. But in 2005, Sony thought it was time for them to try their luck and release a portable version of their PlayStation, fittingly called the PlayStation Portable. I don't know about you, but I vividly remember the commercials when this was still new, from the voice-whispering PSP to the Marcus PSP campaign. I've always had the thought of getting one, which hasn't happened until now. The PlayStation Portable, or PSP, was released on March 24th, 2005, as the portable equivalent to the modern-day PlayStation, which would have been the PS2 or 3 over its lifespan. But I have to say, it isn't like we wouldn't have gotten the memo that this was a handheld PlayStation. It wasn't like we were going to haul these big behemoths of tech around to get our handheld fix in. Unless it was one of those that had a screen on them. Wouldn't those be considered PSPs too? Something to ponder over another time, as we have the actual PSP in our hands with a lot to go over. We'll start with the screen, which inheritably dominates the handheld. It's 4.3 inches with a resolution of 480 by 272 pixels. Pretty good for the time, especially compared to the DS. Below the screen where the logo resides are quite a few buttons, from the home button and volume adjusting buttons to the start and select buttons, all of which you should be familiar with. The only ones out of place are these two. The button with the squircle, which is an actual shape, is the display button to adjust the brightness of the screen, and the musical note is the sound button that can be the quick way to mute the audio, but it can also adjust the tone by straightening the bass and mid-range and whatnot. Kinda weird one sound button would be away from the other sound buttons, but it's a minute change, so whatever. Below is a headphone jack, a barcode, and an AC adapter jack. Very simple stuff. Over on the left is the familiar D-pad a PlayStation would have. The portable version is very smooth, easy for the thumb to get around. Below it is an analog stick, which I had no idea what it was by looking at it. Had to move this nub, as it is nicknamed, to actually know what the heck it is. It is a bit odd in shape and size, so I doubt it was used much. It's so small as it is, why would you prioritize it over the D-pad? But next to it are lights for the Memory Stick Duo and WLAN, both of which we'll get to in a little while. To the right is the signature PlayStation face buttons of the circle, square, triangle, and X, also clear and smooth to match the D-pad on the opposite side. Certainly makes it look more adult and serious looking, if that makes any sense. Below that is the power switch to turn the system on and off, as well as a hold function that, when in place, locks the buttons and disables them. I didn't think there was a point to it, but if you want to not skip a cutscene because all of them are good, or not have an accidental button press when playing music, you can put this to good use. This little hole that you may have noticed is actually a speaker, one on each side. Way to go, Sony. Around the PSP there are plenty of things to go over. Up top is a USB connector for a wired connection to do certain things, and a WLAN switch for wireless connection to do certain things. We also got the L and R shoulder buttons that look unique, a little straight in design but still smooth. Over on the left is the slot where the memory stick duo resides. It's basically the memory card before the SD card would become the standard for memory storage in the future. The slot door is also flimsy. I'm surprised it doesn't fall off. This thingy here is for if you want to put a wrist strap on, a common trait most handhelds have and still do these days, but this one is more apparent than most. This is the back of Sony's PSP that I'm very familiar with from those whispering ads, but looking back at it now, there's no way they could have flipped it the way they did to reveal the logo the right way up. Wizardry and sorcery happened there. Now it may seem plain on first glance, but it actually has the most going on in terms of making it run. For one, the battery is stored in this compartment. It has its own branded battery that can last a few to several hours depending on what it's being used for. Reason why I say so is because of the software it uses, that being the Universal Media Disc or UMD. It could do more than just play games, as I found out just recently. It could also play movies. This little factoid blew my mind when I learned about it, and all you gotta do is place these UMDs into the hidden compartment here, and now you can fully experience what a portable PlayStation can do. The PSP of course has its own library of games and movies. The media was made by Sony, so it makes a lot of sense. As of now, I have games like Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker and 5 other games. I haven't gotten into this handheld as much as I should, and I admit that. I'm missing other games like God of War and Daxter. I initially got it for LocoRoco alone, as that was one of my earliest gaming memories as a kid. But if you have any recommendations for what I should find in the future, do leave a comment. For anyone that asks, the movies look decent for the time. Not sure what other films you could find, but I'm sure it has more classics like National Treasure. The PSP was a neat attempt to get a share of the portable pie Nintendo had kept to themselves, though arguably it didn't do a whole lot to take down their new and upcoming DS line. It still held out with a decent library of titles, and it would stick around just until the PS4 was coming out. It also had a decent line of remodels too, one of which I'm interested in reviewing in the future. But if you so happen to find the OG PSP out in the wild for a good price, it's worth getting so you can experience quality PlayStation games in a smooth, portable way. It's the PlayStation Portable. It's fair to say that if Nintendo hadn't made it big in the portable market over the years, we wouldn't have competitors like the PSP as we know it. Of course, success didn't come without a lot of experimentation with game design and concepts, which was especially evident during the Game & Watch days. And on the next episode, we'll take a look at how Nintendo put DK3 into a G&W and made it competitive. If you think I missed anything, please leave a comment. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you think others could get knowledge out of this, share this video. And if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. Now, if you'll excuse me, nostalgia is calling.